Hello, welcome and welcome back everyone. So we are going to be starting a new reading vlog for the next couple of days, week. I'm not too sure how long yet. All I know is that this is going to be the week of lots of baking. So I have quite a few orders to get done. And what I may do, if I can, is I might add a few little clips of me doing some bits here and there. It is a lot of cupcakes and cake, etc. So we shall see if I can let you guys see what I'm doing on my baking side of things. But for the next week, I know that I would like to try and get Emily Wilde number 2 finished. I am going to be listening to that as an audiobook, just because I am going to be super busy. I'm also going to be hopefully reading / finishing the ALC for Then There Was You by S.L. Scott. Really hoping I enjoy it. We shall see. And obviously we're leading up into the end of March. So if possible, I would really like to try and finish Bride and the Twisted Games book. However, I may switch to audiobook for them. We shall see. Because obviously busy. Don't know how often I'll be able to get to sit down and relax. We shall see. But if I'm going to be doing audiobook, I might just get the audiobook for the first one first and see how that is. I might as well. But yeah, I think I'm going to be heading to the store, grabbing some things, and then getting myself started. So yeah, I will update you guys when I can. Honestly, today has been such a long day. It feels like it's been an entire week in one day, which is kind of wild. But just a quick little reading update. I have now finished the second Emily Wilde's book. Really happy about it. I'll definitely be listening to the third one. I feel like that improved. The coffee gods have spoken. But I feel like listening to the book definitely improved my enjoyment. Just because there's a lot of words that in the first one, which I physically read, it kind of went over my head a little bit. I didn't know how to pronounce some of the words. So I was like, okay, great. But second book was great. 4.5 stars for sure. But my hope, fingers crossed, is that if the weather is decent tomorrow, I may nip out to go and start my next physical book, which is going to be The Intruder by Frieda McFadden. And I would really like to start another thriller, because it feels like I've not read that many this year so far. It's been mostly romance and fantasy, which is fair. But if I get to start that tomorrow, you might see me in a cafe or whatever doing that. Whenever I do my next big baking session, I will be listening to Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which I'm hoping is good, because I have heard some mixed things about it. A lot of people enjoy it. A lot of people have opinions. Even my friend has told me about it. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm just hoping that I'll get to start The Intruder, because I have a feeling if it's going to be like any other Frieda McFadden book, it's going to be a relatively quick read. So we'll see. But yeah, I will catch up with you again when I can. Might just be a lot of B-roll. We'll see what I can do. So, as you may have just seen from the previous clip, oh, there we go. I just updated my reading tracker on my bookshelf. I keep forgetting to update it, which I'll get used to it. But I think the last time I updated you guys, it was with me saying I had finished the Emily Wilde book, the second one. Rated it at 4.5 stars. I enjoyed it more than the first one. And I think that's only because I listened to it, so which is completely fair. But I also have now finished the ALC for Then There Was You. There was something off with the male narrator. I don't know, I really enjoyed the story. I don't want the narration to reduce the rating of the book for me, but I really enjoyed the female narrator. She was really good. And I don't know what it was. It was just something amiss with the male one for me, personally. It just felt too scripted. And it didn't really feel like I had that much emotion behind it. Just being honest about that. But I will talk about that more in my wrap-up for the month, at the end of the month. But I did enjoy it. Very Romeo and Juliet, forbidden romance. So it was a good time. But today, I will actually be starting the audiobook for Bride, which originally I was going to do as a physical, but I am so busy this week with baking. I have a bunch of different orders to work on. And if I do want to finish that one before the end of the month, there's no way I would be able to. So I'll be starting that one today, which I'm excited about. And I will hopefully get some time to read more of The Intruder. I feel like The Intruder is just a little guilty pleasure. I feel like The Intruder right now for me is the book I'm going to if I am not doing anything, I am in chill mode. So I'm excited to read more of it though. But yeah, when I can, I will give you some more updates. Hopefully it won't be too long between now and the next update. I mean, hey, you'll get to see some B-roll stuff. And I'm also just really enjoying learning more about this new setup. Yeah, I will catch up with you when I can. It is time for chill mode because today is finally a day where I can just sit and chill and relax. It felt like a long time coming. But I am trying to figure out what updates I've gave you guys already. I think in the grand scheme of things, maybe it wasn't the wisest idea to be like, hey, I'm going to do a reading vlog during a busy week. But on the other hand, I'm kind of glad I did because I also got to add little extra fun clips of what I actually do for baking. So hopefully you guys enjoyed those little segments. But I know that I've mentioned maybe multiple times that I finished the second Emily Wilde's book. I have finished the Then There Was You ALC. I can't remember though. I think I've mentioned finishing Bride. I'm not too sure. But on the day I was making all my cupcakes, I started and finished Bride. Really enjoyed it. And then the next day, I started making my cake. I did decide to start listening to Twisted Love by Huang. And again, just like Bride, I started and finished that in one day. So that's really fun. I really enjoyed them. Bride basically felt like a typical Ali Hazelwood book. And with the Anna Huang book, I am really glad I listened to the first book in the series, because I know that a lot of people have kind of mixed opinions about Twisted Love. They say that from Twisted Games, it does get really good. But kind of just going on the fact that I really enjoy My Dark Romeo, Desire, etc. I really enjoyed it. For me, it was a typical billionaire romance. But my hope right now is to maybe do a little bit of reading. I do need to stream a little bit of gaming. Hopefully the next update will be me wrapping up this video and giving thoughts on all the books I did manage to finish. But yeah, hopefully I will see you guys again soon. TM. Alrighty then, let's not have my hair touching the microphone. But I have a very good update to give you guys. But first, before my lips are smacking, let me have a wee drink. Better. So, I didn't really expect to finish The Intruder before I actually got around to wrapping up this. At this point, it feels like a very long reading vlog. But I mean, considering all the baking I've done, yeah, go figure. But the good news is that I did, in fact, today finish The Intruder. So, I am now going to talk about all the books I did somehow manage to read over the course of, realistically, at this point, probably more so like 2 weeks, which is fine. I have been busy, but let me just get the books that are behind my butt. So I got all these ones read, plus quite a few on my Kindle, quite a lot of audiobooks. Well, yeah, let's start with the first one. So I believe the vlog started with me talking about how I'm going to be reading the second Emily Wilde book, but because of when I start, again, in the grand scheme of things, maybe starting this reading vlog while I'm baking might not be a wise idea. But again, you guys got to enjoy some baking footage. So that's a bonus. But I did decide to go with the audiobook of this one. And I will say, had I not done the audiobook for this, I think it would have been also a 4-star. I'm fairly certain that that is what I rated the first one. And I like the first one, but I'm rating this one a 4.5, mostly because I really, really enjoyed the audiobook. And I feel like a lot of terminology that was used within the book did actually make a lot more sense. It actually allowed me to hear how things are pronounced. Do I remember any of the pronunciations? Couldn't tell you, but it did help. But overall, I really, really like the story of this one, especially with everything being not wrapped up per se, but with the way it ended, I feel like that is going to be what we jump straight into with the third book, which I'm very excited about. And I do believe just because I enjoyed this one so much as an audiobook, I will do the third one also as an audiobook. So I'll probably just load it from either one of my library things, or if I can find it on one of my many, many audio places. But the overall story of this one, you're basically back together with Emily and Bumblebee, who again, constant banter in this one, I really liked it. and they're trying to find the door that leads to, I believe, all the different realms in order to help Bumblebee go back to his realm. And a whole bunch of fun and interesting things occur. But the thing I also liked about it is that we are also together. I believe it's with Emily's niece. I believe it's her brother's daughter. And I quite like that little extra bit in the book. It kind of made Emily feel a bit more, I guess, in a way, human. Because Bumblebee sure as hell is not. Also, Bumblebee in this was very, very freaking cute. The thing I really liked about the audiobook, I can't remember who the narrator is for Bumblebee. If I remember, I'll shove it under here somewhere. He was very good. I'm pretty sure it was a decent Irish accent, because again, Bumblebee is supposedly Irish. I really liked it. I think if there's only one thing I would say against it, I kind of want to see this book done as a duet, where all of the bits where Bumblebee speaks during the book, we also get his actual male narrator. Because you only get to hear the male narrator at the very end, like when he does the typical Bumblebee thing. I would like to see that done in the future. Please make it happen. Yeah, I really like this one, and I'm very glad I listened to it. So, again, this is also by Heather Fawcett. I keep forgetting to mention authors. I'll get used to it. But yeah, the next book I also listened to, I had the ARC copy as well as the ALC, and that was Then There Was You by S.L. Scott. Now, I believe I rated this one a 4-star. I really liked it, and I listened to the audiobook again, even though a lot of the books I wanted to read during this week were mostly physical. This was the one that was either an ebook or audio. I'm glad I went with the audio, again, busy baking week. I would say if I had one negative, I think I've alluded to it. There was something I did not like about the male narrator. I don't off the top, again, I'm really bad with names. We will learn to understand that as time goes on, trust me. But if I'm gonna be blunt, I didn't like the male narrator. He sounded way too scripted, and I didn't really like how much emotion he put into his words, aka none. But I did really like the story. Again, I rate it a 4-star. I do not want to lower any ratings because of how it is delivered. I should really, but I feel like that's not fair to the author. But the story was very much a Romeo-Juliet forbidden romance where they meet when they're younger. It's about a guy called Keats and a woman called Saucy, and a woman called Saucy, which is quite a unique name. Susie? It's funny because I listened to it and I don't remember. I don't know what it says about the audio. But they meet when they were younger, and it's kind of like a insta love, like love at first sight. I'm thinking of the scene in the Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and they're looking through the fish tank. That is in my head when I think of this book. Great movie, by the way. And then years later, they meet up again, even though her father, who's very rich, wealthy, she is in a wealthy family. But lo and behold, that is not what she wants, and she wants to be with Keats. So it is a really, really good story. I think I would reread it in the future as ebook, because it might realistically improve my enjoyment. But if I was to recommend something, which I never really do, I would recommend physically ebook reading this one, because I feel like a lot of you guys might be the same with the male narrator. So there's my little advice. Physically ebook read it. Yeah, that was my second one I got done. Now, I'm fairly certain there is a book that I don't think I mentioned starting. There might be a little clip where I kind of allude to reading it or something. I'm not too sure, but I know I read it this week because it only came out last week. And that is You Did Nothing Wrong by C.J. Jers. And I will tell you right now, it was a 5-star. I mean, yeah, C.J. Jers for me is pretty much an auto-buy author. I've loved every single thing I've read from her. I've even read some of her work when I was part of her Patreon. She has like extra stories that she shares with her Patreon. I love her. Paper Fury, I love you. You're a sweetheart. But I got the chance to join the tour for the release day with MTMC Tours, I believe, with Melissa, which I've always wanted to join their tour things, and I was so happy when I got a chance. I was like, favorite author, I'll take it. All I'm going to tell you about it, because I kind of want to gush about it in full details with the March wrap-up, but if you know anything about her writing, it's lyrical, it's poetic, it just makes you feel creepy and like things crawling over you. And I think I even mentioned it in my post, which I'll link my post to the release day Instagram that I did, that if it's going to be like any of her other books, you're going to like crawl inside the rib cages and like just like live. I will say, was not disappointed. It gave me that vibe and more. So, but yeah, freaking loved it. And I did listen to that again as an audiobook because I was part of the tour. I got the ebook, which again, greatly appreciated. Because if I was to get the hardback here, it would cost me 32 euros. That's not it. I had pre-ordered the audiobook for it because I figured, why not? And it's the same narrator that does Alchemized and some other amazing books. Very, very good. So yeah, I love that one. And then I know I started this book before these other books I finished, but it was my most recent finished book. I definitely started this before these other books I started and finished, mostly because, again, I was doing the physical and I got really busy with baking. But I really liked it. I actually gave it a 5-star. I was reading it last night and I will be honest and say, I don't ever want to eat anything with pumpkin again. If you know, you know. Or peaches. Oh no. But this book is a very, very good Frieda McFadden book. It is about a woman who is living in this cabin. She's kind of lost her job and her landlord is kind of a creep, kind of does advances on her. Not great. But he is supposed to be trying to fix things with the house, especially when there's a storm coming in. But she's like, no, fuck off. No, go away. You're creeping me out. So he goes away, gratefully. And then her recent neighbor also comes to check on her. He seems quite nice. However, she doesn't really trust him. She doesn't really trust anyone. But then you're going between a now timeline and a before. So with the now timeline, you're following along with Cassie, who is the woman in the cabin, but you're also following along with Ella. And we're following her from before when she was, I believe, 13. She's living with her mother, who's a bit of a... I wanted to throw punches in her favor. She's living in a house that isn't really that great for her. Her mom's a hoarder in the worst sort of way. And it is a disease, it is an illness, but it's not a way for this child to live. And she doesn't really get along with anyone at school. They all make fun of her. But then eventually she makes friends with a boy called Anton. What happens in the now timeline is that I believe you're following along with these two timelines, but in the cabin with the storm, Cassie suddenly sees someone or something in her tool shed. And she decides to go and investigate, but then she finds a little girl with really blue eyes covered in blood. And she doesn't know what to do because not only is it a bad thing, but it might be not the best idea for her to bring a child into her house who's covered in blood and has a pocket knife. Yeah, it's good. It's quite screwy, but in the best way. I mean, it's a Frieda McFadden book, right? So I really liked it. when I proper got sitting with the book, it's very fast-paced, which again is typical style for her. But yeah, definitely recommend this one if you're looking for a Frieda book. So the other books, and I know I mentioned these, and each of these books, aside from Bad Bunny, I read all the books in one day because I read Bride and Twisted Love as audiobooks when I was doing my busy cupcakes, cake, baking. And yeah, they were like one-day reads. I do still have prompts. So this is a really nice Bride cover that I have with purple, which I really like. And this is obviously Bride by Ali Hazelwood. We all really know at this point who she is. Writes the Love Hypothesis book series and many, many other romance books. I rated it a 4-star. Now, if I was to be really honest with myself, it might have technically been lower. But overall, I did like the banter and I did like the overall story. However, there was a certain part of this book when I was like, oh, it's going to be a 4.5. It's like, and then a part happens I don't want to spoil. I think if you've read this book, you might know what I'm talking about. I swear if I read or hear that in a book again, I don't know. Or maybe werewolf shape-shifting romance is not for me. Because it kind of made me cringe a little bit. But yeah, you're basically following along with Misery Lark, who is a vampire in a very, very powerful family. But she is being told that she needs to kind of step up her game because she doesn't really want to have anything to do with them. She just wants to live a normal, as humanly possible life. But she's being told she has to marry into the werewolf family in order to keep the alliances going. And she's not really happy about that. Not only because she just wants to, do her own thing, which is fair, but because the person that she's going to marry is kind of a dick and not really the nicest person to be around, really. However, the reason why she actually decides to go ahead with it is because her best friend / sister, who she's been raised with, she's gone missing, and the only clue that her friend left is the guy's name. It's kind of curious. So it is a very good book, and I will, even though I was kind of like, oh god, that word, I will definitely read Mate, probably sooner than later. We shall see, because I quite like the idea that the Mate book follows along with her best friend / sister. So the last one I did listen to within this week or two was Twisted Love by Anna Huang. Now, I originally planned on starting with Twisted Games, which is the second book, which follows along with, it says a princess, right? I was like, oh, that sounds really good. And the reason why I was going to skip this one was because, from what I've heard, this one is the least favorite in the series. But I figured, if I'm going to listen to it, I might as well just start from the beginning, because they are all interconnected from what I can establish. They're all following along with all the friends of the main character of this one. And I'll tell you honestly, I rated this a 4.5 star. I really liked it. I did. I can kind of tell why people probably weren't as thrilled about this, because it did have a trope that a lot of people don't like, miscommunication. And I feel like that was the reason for me why there's a little bit of a dip with star rating. But I feel like nearly every other video at this point I'm mentioning, oh, it's kind of as a billionaire romance. It's like My Dark Romeo. That was my first billionaire romance. Well, My Dark Desire was my first one. So I kind of have that as my reference point, right? Which is fair. I'm fairly certain if you have read a book as a first, say for me, for a dark romance, my reference is Hunting Adeline. I mean, fair. But yeah, I liked it. It was a proper billionaire romance. You're following along with Alex, who's been tasked to look after his best friend's sister while he's away doing his study abroad. And he's a bit of a, like, he doesn't want anything to do with her. Like, she's like too innocent because he likes a certain kind of woman. But Ava, who is the sister, she kind of likes that kind of stuff. So, go figure. But there is a whole undercurrent story within it. And when that becomes relevant, I feel it's like, oh my god, why couldn't you have said things sooner? So there's definitely a little bit of a miscommunication trope, which is definitely not my favorite. There was repercussions and it did wrap itself up nicely, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, I actually really liked it, and I'm very excited to get to Twisted Games, hopefully in April. We shall see. Or maybe this weekend. Again, I'm baking a lot again, so we'll see. So the last ARC book that I read this couple of weeks was Bad Bunny by Lexi Davis. So I think I've mentioned that I've read Gracie Gets Lucky. I've also read Cupid is a Liar, which I really, really enjoy both of them. I feel like this one might have been my favourite. Alongside the Cupid one, this one's quite spicy. I believe I have rated it a 4.5 stars. Because I feel like there was a couple of bits that they didn't really go over my head, but I was like, oh, okay. But in typical Lexi fashion, I really liked it. It kept me on my toes. And it's a bunny shifter romance. I mean, there's definitely a kink out there for everyone. Now there's one for bunnies. You're welcome. But the story of this one, again, it's a novella. I think it was 178-ish pages. But the story for this one is following along with a teacher who is in a classroom and she has a bunny. And the bunny bites her. And she's like, what the hell? I can't keep you now because you might do that to the children. And then suddenly a naked man is in her classroom. And he's talking about how he is the prince of his realm and that she is his mate, his fated mate. And they have to go to find this treasury, which is inside a golden egg, which is only shown once a year at their spring festival. Stardew Valley got a little bit dark. Ooh. But I really like this one. It felt a bit more, I think compared to some of the other ones I've read, it felt like there was a lot more at stake with this one, which I do like a bit of a suspenseful romance as well. It's quite fun. But I really liked it. It was very good. I would recommend. But yeah, that was me finally being able to actually do a little bit of a wrap up, because I feel like I will get used to kind of deciding what I can and can't do with reading style, slice of life vlogs. Again, I'm still learning this entire process, right? And I think I'm getting better at it. Famous last words. But I do think out of all the books I listened/read this week, my favourite for sure was You Did Nothing Wrong by C.G. Jers. And I know that I will hopefully sooner than later do a wrap-up video for all the books I read in March. I will say at this point, I think I'm going to be very nearly doing the same amount as I did in February, if not more. I don't know how that's happening. I mean, I am doing a lot of audiobooks still, which wasn't really an intention of mine this month. Although I do know that April will be less because I will have my best friend coming to visit. So that's fine. But yeah, let me know which book from the ones I read this week or two are your favourites. Are there any that you might actually pick up yourself? And if you just want to let me know that you were here, since I think this one will be released near the hair at Easter, leave me an Easter bunny. Like the Easter bunny emote. I think that works. But yeah, hopefully you will all have a great day and I will see you in the next video.